You know, I don't make every sale. I come close to it, but I don't make them all. Let me tell you a little story. I call this the getting 'em back close. Once I let somebody walk, I'll call them until they buy or die. This is the way I do it. I'll call you and call you and call you. If I didn't sell them and they bought someplace else, then that's end of story. This one day, a customer came in to see me, and he was telling me about his son Jimmy going to the University of Michigan to become a doctor. And I thought I had him, and then I could see from his lips and his eyes that I lost him. Finally, he left. The next day, I called him up. I says, Dominic, I want to ask you a question. I want to sell you a car in the worst way. And he came right back at me and says, I already bought a car, Joe. I says, geez, no kidding. Was my price bad? Was it too high? Or did I do something wrong? Matter of fact, big-time salesman Joe Girard, you did. I was telling you a story about my son Jimmy going to the University of Michigan to become a doctor. And you weren't very interested. You weren't happy for me and my son. You were looking out the door, and you were looking at all the other salesmen laughing. You thought they were more important than I was, or my son Jimmy. I can tell you one thing, Joe. When people talk to you, listen with your whole face. When he told me that, I says, Dominic, I'm sorry if that's what you thought. If that's what you thought, that's probably what happened. I'm very sorry. You know what? I'm very proud of you that your son is going to the University of Michigan to become a doctor. In fact, you tell your son I'm very proud of him. I wish I would have sold you. I want to wish you all the happiness in the world with your son and with the car. I hope someday you come back and give me another chance to become a good listener. You know what? About 2 years later, he did come back. But he taught me an awful lot. He taught me a lot to keep eye contact with the customer. When you have a customer, tell the switchboard operator no more calls. Don't take any more calls. Just like a doctor. A doctor's operating on a patient. If he handles a call, when he comes back, the patient's dead. Like a fighter. If he answers a call in the middle of a fight, he's going to get his head knocked off. Pay attention. Make them feel as though they're the most important person in the world. This guy taught me an awful lot. Have strong eye contact. Be humble and be loving. And then, if it doesn't happen and the sale falls through, how do you handle disappointment? Let me tell you what I used to do. Immediately, I would find something to do. Okay? I don't go into the dope ring where there's 4 or 5 other people talking about everything but selling something to somebody. I call this the poison ring. I stay away from them. I try to talk to myself, meditate, be honest with myself. What the heck happened? And if you're really honest with yourself, you will find out why you lost a customer. Go immediately to another customer. Get on the phone quick and say no to rejection. And any time you do have a rejection, say to yourself like I do, I'm getting closer to my next sale. You know what that's called? Positive mental attitude. Once you've made the sale, the name of the game is to keep them, right? To keep them happy, to keep them wanting to come back, to have him tell people that this Joe Girard is different than any salesperson I've ever had in my life. So I'm asked many times, how do you satisfy people after the sale? Well, to me, that is the whole thing. That is what really made me. That's what will make you the greatest salesperson in the world. Selling somebody and keep selling them. I'm going to share with you some of the things that I did on keeping a customer happy after the sale and getting them to come back to see me again. You know what? People have asked me a million times, what amount of repeat action did you have, Girard? My repeat action was about 85%. And after you hear what I did and how I took care of a customer, it's going to happen to you too. It's not the first sale. The sale begins after the sale, not before. Any yo-yo can sell something once, but it's the guy who can sell the same person time and time and time again. That is a real salesperson. But you're going to have to do what I'm going to talk about now, because I don't just believe, I know this is what got me in the Guinness Book of Records. After I sold a car, here's what I did. Here's what you can do. I would look at the person dead in the eyes with a sincere smile and say, you know, Mr. Brown, this car that you've bought for me today don't excite me. Like other salespeople, you know, they get excited when they sell something. Well, not me. This sale don't excite me. You know what will excite me? If you come back and buy from me again. That's what will excite me. But in order for me to get you to come back again, I'm going to have to treat you like no salesperson ever treated you. I'm going to tell you something right now, that if you get a lemon, as God is my judge, I'll turn it into a peach. And I want you to know that today you bought two things. You bought a beautiful car. The next thing you bought is Joe Girard. Compliment people's choices, whatever they bought. You bought Joe Girard. And I want you to know, Mr. Brown, that I'm not going to stand behind this car. And they look at me with that look. I'm going to stand in front of it. That if you ever need me, I'll handle you so quick, so fast, so good, that I know you'll be back. Now, people always say, well, how can you handle so many customers, Joe? You were averaging 6 retail cars a day. How did you find the time to make everybody happy? Well, let me tell you what I did. In the service department, we had 14 service people, 2 write-up guys, and a mechanic and a service manager, which is a total of, 17 people, okay? Once a month, paid by Joe Girard, I would take them to a nice restaurant and let them eat all they want and have just a few drinks and tell them how much I cared for them and how much I loved them. My philosophy is I'll sell them. The service people will return them back to you. I used to spend on an average about $20,000 a year to protect my business. Remember one thing. Your business is your business. Your company can't watch your business. You have to watch it yourself, okay? My customers didn't belong to the dealer. They belonged to me. And these mechanics used to take care of people for me like you wouldn't believe. I've had many people come in and say, okay, Joe Girard, I have a problem. So I would find out what the problem was and then get the mechanics who was good at that type of problem. And many times I would take care of the problem right at the curb. And sometime I would take money out of my pocket and pay for some of the parts. Maybe the warranty ran out. And took care of him so beautiful that you just wouldn't believe it. At the end of the year, I'd give all the mechanics a half a gallon of Canadian Club and tell them that I love you. This is the name of the game, is to find people that'll help you become better, to service your customer. You know, the sale is the beginning, but service is the solid foundation that parts the men from the boys and the girls from the women. IBM is one of my favorite companies. Let me tell you what they say. They say that most companies are a lot better at prospecting for new customers and selling those prospects than they are at maintaining the existing customer base. And they call it service. 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 A bird in the hand is better than 2 in a bush. Take care of a customer and let him grow like a tree. That is why I had the long lines. The last 11 years I was selling automobiles. If you didn't have an appointment, you couldn't get in to see me because of this. People are sick and tired of being manhandled. You have to take care of your business. This is why I average 6 retail cars a day. Because people were coming back to me because I cared for them, because I loved them. It wasn't just the money. It was keeping people happy. And as soon as I made the sale, you try this. I'm going to show you how to fertilize people's minds beyond your wildest dreams, on how people will come back to you over and over again. As soon as I made the sale, I give the customer the 1, 2, 3 punch. The first thing I do after I got a deposit, after I got the money, I hire them. I give them a stack of business cards and tell them, Mr. Brown, anybody that you send me with your name behind my card that buys a new car or truck, I'll pay you $25. I just hired an employee. You can do the same thing. $25, Uncle Sam picks up $12.50 of it. Why should you give all your money away? Help people to help you. Next thing I do, he's not even out the building, and I send him a beautiful thank you card. On the back, I have an apple, and on it says, I like you. Inside, I tell him, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for buying from me. I thank you, and my family thanks you. Remember what I said when I sold you the car. If you get a lemon, I'll turn it into a peach. I'm going to show you that I'm different than any salesperson in the world. I want to wish you the very best of everything and good traveling. Your friend, Joe Girard. I'm not a procrastinator. I do this now. Now is the game. I'm not, I'll do it later, or I'll do it tomorrow. There is no later. There is no tomorrow. I do everything now. Here's the big power call. Power 3. 3 days later, I get on the phone and I say, Hi, Mr. Brown. How you doing? Good, good, good. Joe Girard. How's the car? Oh, good, good. I'm really happy. Remember what I said. If you get a lemon, I'll turn it into a peach. By the way, Mr. Brown, I want to ask you a question. I'm sure you showed the car to a lot of people, and you know how people get a little jealous when other people have things. Did anybody maybe mention to you that they might be buying? Yeah, by the way, my brother Tony said that he's going to be buying a pickup truck when he gets his income tax check. Let me have his name and phone number, and Mr. Brown, and I'll call him up. Remember, if he buys, you get $25. You know what, Joe? My minister was talking about buying a new Caprice. Let me have his phone number. And then he gave me another lead. The next-door neighbor is talking about buying. From that phone call, because of the thank you card that I sent him, because that he's seen that I care for him, he gave me 3 beautiful leads, okay? What was I doing with these 3 things? Fertilizing the next sale. Fertilizing their mind. Telling them, hey, I'm different than any salesperson in the world. I care about you. You want to know how much mail I got, how many phone calls I got because I did these 3 things at the beginning of a sale? I've got calls from people and mail from people saying, you know, Joe, I bought 1 million things. I bought insurance, and I bought houses, and I bought cars and everything. And you know what, Joe? Nobody's ever called me and thanked me. No one's ever called me and asked me, do I understand the paperwork? Do I understand how to operate this or that? But, Joe, you called me. Remember one thing, folks. I didn't put Joe Girard in the Guinness Book of Records. My customers put me in there. The service people put me in there. My customers, I look at my customers, and you ought to look at them the same way. My customers and your customers bought your home. They bought the clothes on your back. They put the food on your table. So shouldn't you really be good to them? Think about it. The next time you're with the customer that maybe comes back with a little bit of a problem, you know what I always did? Like Shakespeare said, the world is but a stage and we're all but actors. But I wasn't acting. They'd come in and share a problem with me. I'd feel hurt right with them. Because what I sold them wasn't good. And I make it right. I make it right before I sell another sale. We must create this kind of image for our companies and for ourselves. The greatest advertising in the world, and don't you ever forget it, is word of mouth. It's not magazines or radio or television. It's word of mouth. People going out there saying, buy from Joe Girard. Because he says what he says, and he does what he says he's going to do. He's different than anybody else. I've had people come up to me and say, Joe, you know, I shopped your deal that you gave me, and I could have beat your deal 2 times, once for $75 and once for $100. But I don't want to buy from them, Joe. You know, I won't get you with the sale. See what people thought about me? They would rather pay more and give me the sale. So tonight, when you go to bed, think about it. Ask yourself, how can I service my customers better? How can I show them that I really care for them? Think about it. Think about it. As you know, service is not a one-person operation. You have to get other people involved. Let me just tell you something here. Sometime our service department can't handle them. They just can't handle a problem. So what do you think I do, drop them? You shouldn't drop them either. There's other avenues to take. Let me tell you what I did. Customer come in, had a very fine oil leak, okay? Had an oil leak we couldn't find. So what do you think I did? Just cop a plea and tell them I can't handle it, we can't find it? I called up the 14th floor of the General Motors building. They all knew who I was. I'm selling 130 to 150 cars a month. I have a customer that belongs to both of us, and I think we should take care of him. If you scream loud enough, I'm going to tell you one thing. The supplier, the manufacturer will hear you. But you've got to scream and protect your business. Let me tell you what I did. This one time with this oil leak, I went to the General Motors building, and I told them we have a customer that's getting dissatisfied. He has an oil leak. I screamed loud enough. You know what they did? I got him a brand new car. Do I own him forever? You better bet your boots. I'll never walk away from my obligation, and neither should you. I've told you things about good sales that I've made. Now let me share a bad one with you. This one time, a guy came to me after I sold him a car, and he says, Joe, I didn't notice it, but when I got home, I seen that I only had an AM radio. And I pulled his order out, and I says, well, that's all you bought. He says, no, I told you an AM and FM radio. I says, well, AM is all you paid for. You would have said AM and FM. I says, I would have put it in the car. So what happened, he went to the Better Business Bureau. Oh, would you believe what happened? The newspaper picked it up. The wire service picked it up from the newspaper. World's #1 salesman cheats